Salam, peace be upon you. My name is Muhammad Layak Siddiqui, the father of Holophase. We have walked far on silent ground. From part 3 onward, we kept discovering the same truth, wearing different masks. Phi is not a thing among things. It is not a substance you can pour, not a field you can locate, not an energy you can measure absolutely. Phi is the permission layer, the condition that makes this, not that, possible at all. Before existence can be asked, comparability must already be present. Before truth can be public, it must be shareable. Before it can be shareable, it must survive translation. Before it can survive translation, it must be carried in gauge-clean form, stable under the shifts of viewpoint, language, and reference. Then part 31 sealed the first lock, epistemic humility. We cannot grasp Phi directly. We cannot pick up the ground. We stand on it. And the moment we accept that, a practical question arrives. One that decides whether we are building a civilization-grade science or just decorating the air with big sentences. If we can only know Phi by pointing to its operational signatures, then where can we point? Can we point to everything at once? Can we point to the universe as a whole without boundaries? Can we make claims that pretend to float above conditions and still call them public truth? This is part 32. The windowed locality axiom. And its core claim is not complicated. It is simple the way a door is simple. Simple does not mean weak. Simple means load-bearing. Public knowledge exists only inside finite, licensed windows with explicit boundaries. No window, no public fact. Let me say it in the simplest words possible. You cannot claim a public truth about everything. You can only claim truth about this specific region under these specific conditions with these boundaries declared. No window, no public truth. Now, if you feel a small resistance in your chest when you hear that, good. That resistance is the part of the mind that still wants to speak like a god. It wants to speak from nowhere. It wants to say reality is without admitting where it is standing. It wants the power of totality without paying the cost of evidence. The axiom is the discipline that ends that fantasy. Because cosmogenesis is the most dangerous place for that fantasy. Cosmogenesis tempts the mind to say, in the beginning, as if we were there. As if the universe kept a diary with our name on it. As if we can describe the whole with one sentence. But we are not building poetry here. We are building an engine for public truth. And public truth is not made from grand sentences. It is made from windows, finite frames, where claims can be checked, replicated, audited, and falsified. So I want to make window feel so real you can touch it. Imagine you are inside a house at night. Outside, the world is large. It is cold, it is dark, it is unknown. You do not step outside yet. You only have a window. Through the window, you can see a street lamp. You can see raindrops if they are falling. You can see the way a tree branch moves in the wind. You can see the reflection of your own face. You can see only a slice of the world. Does that slice give you real knowledge? Yes, it can. You can say, it is raining here. You can say, the wind is strong enough to bend that branch. You can say, there is fog, visibility is low. If your neighbor looks through the same window or through another window with declared conditions and sees the same pattern, your claim becomes public. But notice what you cannot honestly say. You cannot say, I know the weather of the whole planet. You cannot say, I know the entire city. You cannot say, I know what is happening everywhere. Not because you are weak, because your window is finite. And here is the key. The finiteness is not a defect. It is what makes the claim honest. A window is not what blocks knowledge. A window is what makes knowledge possible without lying. Now, in our program, window does not mean only glass and the house. A window is any finite boundary that makes a claim reconstructible and shareable. A spatial region, a time interval, a frequency band, an energy range, a resolution limit, a sampling procedure, a list of assumptions you declare, a measurement setup, a calibration method, a comparator chain. A window is the frame around your pointing finger that says, I am pointing here, not everywhere. Now, not always. Under these conditions, not all conditions. This is what turns private vision into public truth. Now let me show you how the world already teaches this to children before they learn the word science. A child points at the sky and says, "It's raining." You ask, "Where? Here? Over there? In the whole city?" The child learns quickly. A statement needs a scope. Then the child says, "It's raining here, right now." Now the statement is windowed. Now it can be checked. Now it can be shared. The axiom is just that childhood lesson made into a formal firewall, because adults forget it the moment they get access to impressive words. Now let me take you into the rug factory, because a factory is a perfect school for windowed truth. In a factory, beauty is not enough. You cannot sell a carpet on mood alone. You need quality that can be inspected, and inspection means a procedure. When a carpet is finished, the master weaver does not stand at the door, glance at it, and declare, "Perfect." He cannot. The carpet is too large, the patterns too complex, the light too changeable, and human eyes are too easy to deceive. So he takes a magnifying glass, sometimes a simple lens in a wooden frame, and he places it down on the carpet. He does not look at the whole carpet. He looks through the glass, at this small square, under this specific light, with this specific standard in mind. Through the glass he can see, are the knots tight? Are the edges clean? Do the colors match the pattern chart? Is the symmetry preserved? Is there a tension error hiding in the weave? Then he moves the glass. Another square, another window, another test. Each inspection is finite, bounded, explicit. And the master knows something profound that many philosophers forget. The truth about the carpet is not the sentence, "The carpet is beautiful." That sentence is private. It depends on taste. The truth about the carpet is a list of windowed facts. In window A1, knots are tight. In window B3, colors match the diagram. In window C7, there is a tension error. In window D2, the border alignment drifts by 2 knots. These are public facts. Because anyone else can take the same glass, look at the same square, under declared light, with declared standards, and verify or disagree. Without the glass, without the window, the only thing you have is, "Looks good from here. Seems fine to me. I like it." Private opinions, not public truth. The window did not reduce knowledge. It made knowledge shareable. And that is the first lesson of part 32. A public fact is not a sentence. It is a sentence with declared boundaries and a shared procedure. Now, take the same idea into medicine. A patient says, "I don't feel well." That statement matters, but it is not yet a medical fact. It is a report. Then the doctor takes a stethoscope. She places it here, on the chest. She listens now, during inhalation. She does it under conditions: quiet room, patient sitting, breathing steady. And what she finds is not a cosmic verdict like, you are sick. What she finds are windowed observations. In the left lower lobe, wheezing is present. In the right upper quadrant, tenderness is present. At 3 p.m., blood pressure is 140/90. In this blood sample, under this assay, this marker is elevated. Each of these is a window, a location on the body, a time of measurement, a tool used, a protocol followed. Because of those boundaries, another doctor can reproduce the observation. Without windows, medicine collapses into guessing and charisma. He looks pale. She seems tired. I think it's serious. Those are impressions, not certified facts. The stethoscope is not just a tool, it is a boundary maker. It says, within this circle of listening, under these conditions, I claim this sound is present. That claim can be checked. That is what makes it public. Now consider a map. A beautiful map of a continent. Rivers, mountains, cities, roads. A map looks like truth, but it is not truth by itself. A map becomes a truth tool only when it carries its window conditions, its legend, its scale, its projection, its data source, its date. 1 centimeter represents 100 kilometers. Green indicates forest. Dashed lines indicate seasonal roads. Surveyed in 2020 using satellite verification. Accuracy plus or minus X. Those are window statements. They declare what is included, what is excluded, how to interpret symbols, what precision is claimed, what limitations exist. Without that, the map is a painting. With that, it becomes a public instrument. Because anyone can use the same legend, same scale, same method, and reproduce the map, or check where it fails. That is windowed locality. Now take the forecast. People hear sunny, 22 degrees Celsius, light winds, and think this is a simple fact. But a forecast is made of windows. For downtown Kabul, between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m., measured at standard height, with a calibrated instrument, with 70% confidence. The 4, between, under, with, these are window boundaries. Without them, sunny becomes meaningless. Where? Everywhere? When? All day? Measured how? Compared to what? A forecast that says nice weather tomorrow is not science. It is hope. A forecast that says 22 degrees Celsius at Kabul airport at 3 p.m., plus or minus 0.5 degrees Celsius with 95% confidence is science, because it can be checked. The window turns the sentence into a public claim. Now, you might say, fine, windows are necessary in daily life, but what about deep reality? What about cosmogenesis? What about the whole universe? This is where the axiom becomes even more important, not less. Because the bigger the subject, the stronger the temptation to escape windows. People want to say, the universe is X. They want sentences with no borders, because borders feel like weakness. But borders are not weakness. Borders are honesty. And honesty is what makes a claim usable. Here is the structural reason, and I want you to hear it as a chain that cannot be broken. Public knowledge must be shareable. Shareable knowledge must be communicable. Communication requires finite messages. Finite messages require finite procedures. Finite procedures operate in finite domains. Therefore, public knowledge must be windowed. This is not about human limitation. It is about what public means. A public fact is a fact that can be reached by strangers. Strangers need instructions. Instructions need boundaries. Boundaries are windows. So part 32 is not a modest suggestion. It is the architecture of civilization. Now let's make it firewalled. A claim without a window is not merely wrong, it is unlicensed. This matters. Wrong means you stepped into a pestable arena and failed. Unlicensed means you never stepped into the arena at all. Your claim floats above failure, protected by vagueness. It cannot be corrected because it cannot be checked. That floating is the enemy of science. Windowed locality forces claims to step into the arena where they can be killed. A claim that cannot die cannot be science. That is the firewall. Now we state the prediction, because prediction is the spine. Prediction. Every reproducible experiment will specify a measurement window, spatial, temporal, or logical. Look at any real scientific paper and you will see windows everywhere, even if the authors don't call them windows. Samples were measured between 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. Data collected from January to March 2023. Observations within 50 kilometers of the station. Tests conducted with pH between 6.8 and 7.2. Measurements at sea level plus or minus 100 meters. Under vacuum below X. In the frequency band Y to Z. Within confidence interval. With this instrument calibrated against this standard. These are windows. Because reproducibility means recreate the claim inside the same window. If you remove the window, you remove reproducibility. You remove public truth. So our prediction is not a cultural habit. It is a structural necessity. If someone presents a claim as scientific, but refuses to specify windows, one of three things will happen. Either the windows will be revealed under pressure, they were implicit all along, or the result will fail replication because conditions were not controlled, or the claim will drift into anecdote and ideology because it cannot be checked. Now we state the falsification because a firewall must allow real failure. Falsification. Produce a stable scientific fact with no implicit or explicit window conditions. A fact that is accepted publicly, verified repeatedly, and yet carries no where, no when, no under these conditions, no within this domain, no for this system. If someone can produce such a fact, part 32 fails. And notice what this would mean. It would mean that public truth can exist without declared scope, without boundary, without procedure. It would mean public meaning can float without coordinates. That would be extraordinary. Because even the most universal truths hide windows. Speed of light in vacuum. Gas laws under ideal conditions within regimes. Conservation laws in closed systems within symmetries. Even mathematical statements have domains. Pythagorean theorem in Euclidean geometry. 2 plus 2 equals 4 within a defined arithmetic system. Every powerful truth is powerful precisely because it knows its domain and can tell you where it applies. Windowed locality is not the enemy of universality. It is the honest version of universality. Universality as proven stability across widening windows, not universality as a lazy declaration. Now let's expose why windowless claims are dangerous. Because part 32 is not only epistemology, it is ethics. Consider the sentence, "This medicine works." Windowless. Works for whom? At what dosage? For which disease? Under what conditions? With what side effects? Compared to what placebo? Over what time? Without windows, the claim becomes uncheckable and harmful. It becomes a tool for manipulation. Or, this policy is good for the economy. Windowless. Good for which economy? Over what timescale? For which groups? Under what external shocks? Measured by what indicator? Without windows, the claim becomes political fog. Any outcome can be rebranded as success. Or, human nature is selfish. Windowless. All humans? All cultures? All situations? All times? What would falsify it? Without windows, the claim becomes ideology wearing the costume of fact. Windowless claims are the currency of demagogues, pseudoscience, and fundamentalism, not because they are always false, but because they are protected from being checked. Windows force accountability. They say, here are the conditions under which I make this claim. If you meet these conditions, you should see what I see. If you don't, the claim does not apply. That is responsibility. That is the ethical imperative of comparability made operational. Now let me return to the factory one more time, because the factory gives us a perfect image of how Windows build global truth honestly. When a carpet receives a quality certificate, the certificate does not say perfect carpet. It says Herati pattern 2 meters by 3 meters. Wool quality, grade A. Knot density, 360,000 per square meter. Dyes, madder red, indigo blue, pomegranate yellow. Inspection date, 15 March 1990. Inspector, Ahmed. Tests passed. Tension, symmetry, color fastness, edge binding. Tolerance thresholds declared. Look carefully. The certificate is a bundle of windows. Pattern window, size window, material window, density window, color window, time window, inspector window, test window. Together, they form a public truth about the carpet. Anyone can measure the size, count knots in sample squares, test dyes, check border binding, and verify or dispute the certificate. Without these windows, excellent quality is just a compliment. It cannot be audited. Windows turn opinion into fact. Now you can see the deeper principle. A global conclusion is allowed only when it is built from many windowed checks with declared stitching rules. That is what the master weaver does, square by square, window by window. Then he can honestly say, across all tested windows, the carpet meets standard. That is not guessing. That is global knowledge built from windowed truth. And that is exactly what we must do in cosmogenesis. We cannot start by claiming the whole. We must earn the whole by stitching windows. Now I will give you the internal firewall rule that will protect us later when differentiation begins and the mathematics becomes seductive. Whenever you hear yourself or anyone say, reality is, the universe is, time is, consciousness is, ask immediately, what is the window? What is the comparator? What are the boundary conditions? What would falsify this claim? What observation would force revision? If those cannot be answered, the sentence is not public knowledge. It is private metaphysics. Private metaphysics may inspire art. It may guide personal life. But it cannot steer a civilization-grade cosmogenesis engine. Now hold this image because it is the simplest way to carry part 32 into your body. A lantern at night. The lantern makes a circle of light. Inside that circle, you can walk. Outside it, you should not pretend you see. The wisdom is not to curse the lantern. The wisdom is to use it, move it, widen it carefully, and mark where it holds. A licensed window is that circle of light. Science is the discipline of moving the lantern without lying about how far it reaches. Holophase cosmogenesis is exactly that, a method for moving the lantern from silent ground toward readable universe without smuggling a view from nowhere. And now we stem the memory hook, because the listener must carry one sentence like a tool. No window, no public truth. Say it when you read a headline. Say it when you hear a confident speaker. Say it when you catch yourself making a total statement. No window, no public truth. And with this axiom sealed, the next question is unavoidable. Not every window gives truth. Some windows are too noisy. Some show illusions. Some show random fluctuations that look like patterns if your hunger is strong enough. So what makes a window licensable? When can we trust what we see through it? What threshold must coherence surpass before we are allowed to upgrade "I saw something" into "we have a public fact"? That is part 33, the coherence licensing threshold. But we do not step there until the window axiom is stamped into the foundation like a seal on wet clay. Public knowledge exists only inside finite, licensed windows with explicit boundaries. Prediction. Every reproducible experiment will specify its window. Falsification. Produce a stable scientific fact with no implicit or explicit window conditions. Listener carry. No window, no public truth. And now, with the second lock sealed, the silent ground becomes ready for the next kind of discipline. The discipline that decides when a window is not just a frame, but a frame with enough coherence to hold reality without slipping into noise. Salam, peace be upon you.